Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at a pretty neat pistol. This is the brand new, well, over the last couple months, the Sig P210 Carry. Now, those of you who are familiar with the Sig P210, it is a legendary pistol. It goes back to the Sig P49. The P49 was a legendary pistol, of course, Swiss-made, which meant it was like a Swiss watch, extremely well-made. It was a single-action pistol, and it was known for its precision accuracy in a combat pistol. By today's standards, it's very much a outdated pistol. However, I've seen these things as recently as, I would say 10, 11 years ago when I was in Denmark. I was working with the Danish army, and they had an armory inside of one of their rooms where they had basically samples of several of the guns they'd used over the years in the Danish army. They'd used the P210. Now, Swiss production ceased in 2005 of the P210. Again, as a pistol, it was more so originally as a military pistol. It was extremely expensive to produce, and it sort of went by the way. Now, if you were able to find an original Sig P210, regardless of what country it was made for, these pistols commanded an extremely high price. They were extremely highly desirable because of their accuracy, their precision, and quite frankly, they were relatively rare compared to many of the other pistols that were out there. So they were very much a collector's item. In 2016, Sig USA, or Sig Arms USA, went back into production with the P210 Target. Now, the P210 Target, we did a previous video on, which will include the link for that in this video as well, was a beautiful pistol. Now, the original pistols that were manufactured in 1949 were known, again, for their quality, for their precision. Now, back in those days, there's a lot of hand fitting that was done to weapons because we didn't have the technology that we do today. So they also increased their price as well, the man hours that went into them. Now we look at modern 2016, 2022 technology with CNC machines. Very much like the Colt Python, where you had the hand-fitted Python, which was so well known as being just a precision piece of machinery that we wondered what was going to happen with the introduction of the new Python that was made in 2020. Well, we found out right there quickly that modern machining technologies made up for all that and eliminated the need for the hand fitting. And that was very much where Sig USA was with the introduction of the P210 Target. Now we're going to forward to 2022 with the introduction of the P210 Carry. Now, like anything else that's out there, we find a target pistol that we love. By making some minor modifications to it, we can turn it into a carry gun, which is exactly what we see here. Now, this is definitely highly refined from the original one for the purpose of carry. Now, instead of having a standard steel frame, which you had on the original P210s, which, again, added to the weight, they went with an alloy frame. And they also went with the slimmer G10 grips. And they also went with a shorter 4.1-inch barrel compared to the Target barrel, which would make it much more easier for conceal. And we also see that we have on here both front and rear slide serrations. Last thing we have here is very much noticeable is the Sig Light night sights. Now, if we also look, there's no sharp edges on here. There's no sharp edges like were on some of the original ones, so it's much more easy to carry. However, this is a cocked and locked gun, which many of you would expect from what the original pistol was. So you would carry this very similar to that as you would of an M1911. However, this does keep true to the original P210 design, and there's no firing pin block. So that's one of the concerns that I always have with any pistol that doesn't have a firing pin block is its safety if it's dropped with the firing pin inertia. Now, I've never done any testing on any of these to be able to say for sure whether this is safe or not if it was dropped on the muzzle. But that's always something that I do put out there for anybody who's looking for a carry. We do have an 8-round capacity. When we test this, we tested with several different hollow points, and it basically ate everything up. I want to go over just some of the neater features of the P210, which make this gun probably as reliable as it is. First thing we want to take a look at is the slide. If we notice, the rails are on the inside of the frame instead of the outside. Now, one of the benefits that this gives you is reliability. It keeps dirt from getting in there. Now, some guns, it's not necessarily that they work well dirty, is that they're built to keep them clean. That's one of the real benefits you see on here. You see that also with the CZ75 that eventually will come out with the same type of thing. The trigger on here is absolutely gorgeous. Now, for as far as how tight this pistol is, if you notice, I rolled the slide forward, and you can see that the slide's not locked. That is a testament to how tight this slide is on here, how tight the fit and finish is on this pistol. However, when this thing is fired, this is not an issue whatsoever. This will eventually wear in where it will. We only fired about 300 rounds of ammunition out of this just due to the fact that that's all I had available to me at the time. Most of that was SIG ammunition as well. So that just goes to show you just how tight that this pistol is. Now, the way that the safety is on here, it's again, if you're a right-handed, this is pretty much for a right-handed person. This is not ambidextrous by no means. You do have a large safety that's easy to engage, and you have your slide stop on there as well. The grips are very, very narrow compared to the original one, and the G10 grips are very, very nice, so your hands don't slip in them whatsoever. So we have a precision pistol, so let's go over how disassembly is. For disassembly, we just push the slide back just a little bit while pushing inward on the slide stop. We're going to push that forward, lift that right out. Now we can slide right off the frame, and we have our recoil spring. Push in and lift out. And we lift our barrel in and out. Now the first thing we'll take a look at on here is the recoil spring. The recoil spring on here is flat. Now, why don't we use a flat recoil spring instead of a standard round one? Due to the fact you have a very small compartment, basically from which the recoil spring guide and the spring can fit into the pistol, you need additional spring rather than a standard rocket wire spring. A standard rocket wire recoil spring, for instance, you probably would get maybe a couple thousand rounds out of it, and that would be it, because it would start taking sets very, very quickly because of how thick the bearing surface is of the spring. On a flat recoil spring, you have more bearing surface, where you can get more compression on it. And due to the fact that you can get more compression on it with a longer length spring, it lasts significantly longer. That's why you see them in like Glocks and pistols like that, because they're that much better. Even with pistols that don't require a short recoil spring, using the flat recoil spring is still a significant enhancement for durability and reliability. So this is a major enhancement, I think, that was done with this pistol using the flat recoil spring. Again, you have a precision barrel, precision match grade barrel, and these are all nitride coated. These are not chrome lined. The only Sig pistols I ever known that was chrome lined was the P226 for the U.S. government and the M11 for the U.S. government, which was a military requirement. And then when you look at the slide, this is precision made. This is exactly what you would expect from Sig in Switzerland. Absolutely no machining marks whatsoever. Very, very nicely machined, one-piece stainless steel. Now, when we look at the frame, again, we have aluminum, and this is a much thicker aluminum than we're used to seeing on most aluminum frame pistols. But as to accommodate the fact that the rails are inside the frame instead of on the outside of the frame. But again, all precision manufactured, anodized, mil spec, class 3, hard-coat aluminum, black. Again, single action. We do have a quarter cock on here. If you so chose to close the hammer on a closed slide, again, this is a relatively dangerous thing because you definitely want to make sure that you have your finger in there, and as soon as it releases, you ride it forward. It's, again, not a very safe. It's not very safe unless you're really experienced on dropping the hammer on a live round. So I would definitely recommend it once you have it loaded, just leave it in a cocked and lock position, that you don't cock it back, because quite frankly, it's much quicker just to hit a safety than it is to pull a hammer back in a self-defense condition. And again, this pistol is designed primarily as a self-defense gun. However, as a target gun, this thing will last you just as long as the original one will. It's built so it can be a target gun, a carry conceal gun, or whatever you would want. Reassembly, quite simple. We have a Browning short recoil linkless. A little bit tricky to get the spring guide in here. Get that all nice and straight. Pull back just so we can see that hole through there. Drop the slide stop in. And there we go. So I think we're doing now to take this to range, and we're going to see how it's going to shoot. Well, as we said, we fired 300 rounds out of here. As you can see from the target, this thing just blows the center right out of targets. Again, I would expect nothing less for a pistol with an MSRP at $1,300. And quite frankly, for this kind of machining, $1,300 is a very reasonable price for this. And also, I think you guys are interested in investing in some steel targets. As you can see, we shot our challenge targets, which just made this much more enjoyable for us. If you are interested in some steel target, a code STAS on a challenge target website, you can get 10% off of all steel targets. And the ammunition we chose to shoot out of this was SIG. Most of the time when I shoot SIG firearms, I tend to like to use SIG ammunition because, basically what you're offering is a weapon system. You're offering SIG firearms, SIG ammunition, SIG optics. So I like to try to keep all that together. So we had their 115 grain full metal jacket. We had their 147 grain V-Crown match. We also had some of their 124 grain full metal jacket. And of course, no malfunctions of any sort. So we're looking at some of the stats on this. We're looking at the SIG night sights for the front and rear sight, for carry use. The overall length is 7.75 inches with a height of 5.63 inches. A 4.1 inch carbon steel barrel with an NDLC finish or near diamond-like coating. Weight, 29 ounces. Sight radius, 5.6 ounces. Single action only with a standard curve type trigger. And your thumb safety is on the left-hand side only. So overall, I think this is a great addition to the Sig P210 lineup, offering a carry for people, especially those of you who are in occupied states like New York, where you're restricted to 10 rounds or less. You're able to get a precision type pistol like this with 10 shot or under capacity. This one particular one is 8, and plus one in the chamber is 9. It's excellent for that. And for as far as the availability is concerned, these have been available without too much of an instance. Myself, again, I don't carry single action only pistols, so I think I'm probably more apt to go after the target model than I would this. However, for somebody who's looking to carry as a concealed weapon, the target would definitely not be my choice. It would be this one. But overall, my impression, this is an excellent rendition of the original one made in 1949. It definitely shows an evolution of the P210 pistol to 2022, but we still keep that old tradition with the original target. So we do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.